Well, hello there, it's Mishka Toth, and I'm back here with you today with the I Am series. It is really such a pleasure to spend time with you every week on this. I really hope you enjoy it as much as I do. This week, we're carrying on to have a look at I Am and what the difference it makes when we understand the I Am inside of me and the I Am now that I'm starting to recognize in other people. And how this interaction really eventually is so beautiful because it makes a difference to everything outside there. You see, if we really want to influence our environments, there is a structure to it. It starts inside of me. It starts inside of me to understand who I am. We talked about purpose. We talked about when we're really finding that sweet spot of my purpose, then everything seems to flow easier. It becomes easier, although it's not always easy. It's actually difficult, but we find it easier. Now I want to talk to you about, this week I want to focus a little bit more about the family, and your children. Let's look at children and the I am inside of me as a parent. Now I'm talking from a parent's point of view, and then towards children. What is it that can make such a difference in our lives when we raise children, when we understand I am, and when we understand that our baby has been born with a perfect purpose. A parent that has an understanding for this is definitely a parent that'll take it so much further with their children. Because a parent that understands and honors the fact that there is a purpose in every other person will know that my baby will be born with that purpose, and will know to be on the lookout for the purpose. Because we as parents are really only there in the lives of our children for a certain period of time. I mean, they've not been given to us. They don't really belong to us, contrary to most people's belief. Your children are really given to us to take care of and to be good stewards over, more than anything else. They're not mine. I like to say that, and it's good because they belong to us. They've got the same name and we name them, and they are ours. But I think it's a very healthy thing for every parent to understand that your child is actually being given to each and every one of us for a time period to have to be a good steward over, to lead them in the right direction. Our children have not been given to us to make little clones of who we are. And I know that's difficult because sometimes it's so wonderful to be a parent, and it's so amazing to see this child that's got your eyes or it's got your little mannerisms. Sometimes children just have it without you even trying, they just learn from us. They see the example that we set, and there it's already good for every parent to know who I am is. Who am I? What is that factor inside of me? What makes me comfortable? What makes me confident in my life? Because a child picks that up very quickly. Children don't really do what we say. They actually eventually do what we do. So if we've got problem children, we need to actually ask ourselves, what have I been doing? Sometimes we need to just understand that that beautiful baby that is now growing up, has to grow up and mature into who they are. And I think one of the most amazing things that a parent can do is to help a child to find out who they are without feeling threatened. We can't hold on to our children. Our children are not supposed to be an anchor to us. They're supposed to bring us joy. They're supposed to be there when they grow older. Very often parents, especially when we've mothered them, I'm a mother myself, and when you've been there and you want them with you all the time and you just want them around you because they bring you so much joy. However, they are ultimately I am that is on this earth to live out a purpose. And you and I need to understand that. And you and I need to honor that. It's one of the most difficult things to stand sometimes a little bit back and say, you need to live. And I'm going to be here for you. I'm going to back you up. I'm going to support you. But sometimes people need to find out the I am in themselves. And we as parents need to exercise the wisdom. When do we step in and when are we not there? When am I just going to allow that one to live? To understand that the best thing I can do for my child is to allow them to find out who they are. What really makes them tick? What really makes them happy? And once again, remember in my previous programs, now if you watch these programs separate from the previous, I may say something and it doesn't make sense because previously I already covered it, and I would imagine, or I would actually think you've listened to them. And if you haven't, you would think, oh, what a thing to say. But remember what I said to you before, that we need to understand that I make decisions based on, if I understand who I am, I'll make different decisions. So when I now have children, I need to know that it's my most important factor as a parent. It's not just to raise them and to get them through school. That is part of their education. But my most important impact that I can have on my child is to allow them to find out who they are. What is it that makes life, what makes them tick? And once again, what did I say previously? Making things easy doesn't mean it's not difficult. They can say, that's a contrast. What is she talking about? The two things doesn't make sense. A person that's in their purpose will find something that could be very difficult for somebody else. They could find that very easy because it's what they've been made for. That's just who they are. Remember, we talked about Eric Liddell, the Olympic athlete. He said, I have been made to run. Now, parent, I'm talking to you, or parent to be. Find out, what is your child being made to do? It's sad for me to see how parents sometimes force their children into their own little, like I say, they want them to be something. And that child might be crying out in their hearts and feeling unhappy because that's not who they are. You see, a parent may so easily, we may start to think about our children as my children, and that's just whatever, Mary and Susie and John and whatever. And we think about clothing them and getting them through school and all the responsibility. Some parents are going through really difficult times. It's difficult. It is expensive to raise children. And although we love them each separately and differently from the other, we may just start to overlook the fact that child maybe something completely unique. It's not maybe something completely unique. They are. There's something unique. There's something so beautiful inside of them. And I'd like to say to you, the most important thing to do is, if you haven't been to this place, and you need to go and sit and look at your child, doesn't matter how old they are today. And there may have been relationship problems between you and your children, but I want to say to you, think about your child. Think about the reason why he or she has the fingerprint that they've got. Just think how special they are. Just think for a moment. They've got their own fingerprint. Now, if somebody is so important that they don't look like anybody else and they've got their own fingerprint, they have their own purpose. Why do we then want to make them all the same? Why do we want to put them all in the same class? And it is a concern sometimes. Because even at school, and even in school, children are treated like that's the ideal way you should look, like a little box. And if you look like that, you're acceptable. If you don't look like that, you're not acceptable. It's wrong. We are hurting people really, really badly in that way. Because that is not the way we've been made. That is the wrong mentality. And I don't care who likes it, if I say it or not, but I will never accept that any child should be treated like that. Because there's not an acceptable model for a child. The acceptable model for any child is to grow up to be who they are supposed to be. There is something inside of them that needs to come out. And if we start to discriminate against children because they don't look the way they should look, or they don't look like the person next to them, or that we can't put them all in one little row and say, you all look the same now today, and we're all going to say exactly the same thing, and we don't honor that inside of them, however little that child is. Any parent and any person, any grown person, and even somebody that is busy teaching children would do themselves a great favor to understand that you're dealing with dynamite. You're dealing with dynamite. You're dealing with people. You're dealing with somebody that's sitting there with so much potential that's different from the one next to them, that's got a different personality, that's got a different way of thinking, it's got a different way of wanting to do things. And we cannot take that way and squash them into this little box and say to them, you're only allowed to be that. We harm ourselves. We harm whatever is happening in this creation. Because what's in that child, however small that little child could be, is what might be needed for the next generation to come. There were people that were so underestimated in their lives. Very huge names that we know about. That were told they were good for nothing. They were to school and some, I'm going to call it an idiot of a teacher, told them that you're good for nothing and you this and you that and you this and you that. But it's those very same people, thank goodness that the purpose inside of them was a stronger voice. But I want to say to a parent today, if you're listening to me, that it's your responsibility and it's my responsibility to make sure that our children don't always just hear our voices, but hear the voice of purpose. They need to be able to hear it far clearer than anything else. My child, when they're in a situation where they're flourishing and we're doing what they've been made for, I can look at them and I'm so proud. Because 90% of the time I had nothing to do with it. I just had to live life an example. I had to live life to the full. I had to wake up every single morning rather being an example to my children. But that stimulates them. You see, remember I spoke to you on the previous program that the people around us, we can choose them because they're either going to stimulate the purpose inside of us or they're going to perhaps kill it. They're going to make it, they're going to do something to it that's not good. So we choose them. But you see, children don't have a choice about parents. That's why I want to say to every single parent that might be listening, be sensitive to that. Because your child is sitting with something inside of them that you and I have the absolute power to develop and to draw out of them. Where do we put our children? What school do we put them in? What decisions do we make about our children? You see, now I'm talking to a person here that has already established the I am inside of them. Because if I know who I am as a parent, it's far easier for me to make that clear decisions for my children. Because now I won't just put them anyway. I'll think. And I won't just be expecting of child number 1, 2, 3, 4 to be the same. Because I'll understand. That is a unique I am that has been birthed into my children when they came into the world. You can't expect from 3 different people to do the same thing. They're unique. They're beautiful. Beautiful, beautiful, beautiful. And we can embrace that. And it's a person, a parent, who's got the I am. We can't think because you and I like something. You see, we're all different. So maybe I feel comfortable because my one child is similar to me or, think the same as me or do the things that I do. The other one's completely opposite and you think to yourself, where on earth you come from? Sort of story. I don't know. I don't have that. I just love my children. I think that is amazing. But there are people that think like that. And we must be so careful because that child sees it as a rejection of the I am inside of them. They may not ever listen to that voice that says to them, you are made to do this. Because they'll always feel, I'm not good enough. A parent plays an amazing role in a child's development. A parent has a tremendous say. And I think for a long period of time, we have given over the education and the development and the nurturing of our children into hands of people we don't know. Now, obviously, we've got to do that. Our children need to be educated, and it's good. It's part of life. You know, they're going to interact with people on different levels, so it teaches them. But a parent can never be replaced by anybody else. So it's our responsibility, and a person who knows their purpose, a person who knows who they are, the I am inside of me, will always know that it is a very good thing to make time to spend with your family. Spend with the children. Let them get to know you. Do things with them. Get the interaction with the children. See how they feel. Know how they feel. Understand their environment. There are so many parents that would just judge and criticize their children without actually spending time with them in their own environments. Because we judge it. Or we maybe not judge it, but I'm talking to parents that might want to say, but I've never realized that my child wants that. And the child leaves home and they never see each other again. So in terms of I am, if you really want to impact your children, you will make the greatest impact into this world. Because I can just say today from my experiences, I look at my children and I think, wow, I don't even know how it was possible that you can become such a wow factor in my life. They are amazing. And they're living their purpose. I must just stop them, actually. I don't, but it's like they just go. They just found purpose. And we haven't had easy days. We haven't had easy times. We haven't had that thing. But I'm so grateful to see how they flourish in that place. And they've not stopped looking, they've not stopped digging. They've realized that the purpose inside of them is far more important than everything else, because the rest just comes. When you find your purpose and when you flow in your purpose, the rest will come. People worry about money, they worry about status, they worry about all these things. And you know what? We shouldn't be actually concerned about that. Because the moment we flow in that purpose, the moment our children flow in that purpose, you can see it. You can see them. You can recognize them. They stand out. They stand out. So I'd like to really encourage you as a parent today, if I'm talking to you as a parent, to just take time and find out what is the I am. Stimulate the I am in your child. Make sure that you are right and that you can also know what the I am is inside of you that is so beautifully unique out there. Well, until next week, from me, Miss Yatov. Goodbye.